how convenient, how absolutely convenient that she's fainting and he just swoops in like the hero of the day and he catches her. I just thought that was super suspect, and I don't know. Again, I could be wrong, but I feel like Arata is very, very Hi everybody, Starred here, and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a reaction slash synopsis of My Happy Marriage. If you have not seen My Happy Marriage, definitely head on over to Netflix and check that out, and then come on back here. No, seriously, come back here. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we see the episode open up with Kyoka getting into a little bit of the Graves history and how it can negatively impact the Imperial City. Already we see a lot of foreshadowing going on, so we can tell that we're in for something big. Literally, there's a lot of ominous overtones, there's a lot of forewarnings, there's a lot of foreshadowing, so I feel like we're definitely in for something big in the next few episodes. Then we see Okaito and we see Kyoka run into Kazushi, and they're on their way to see His Highness Hito. And it's really funny to see Kyoka kind of sort of start to scold Kazushi about his appearance. So they're on their way to see His Highness, and Kyoka is kind of scolding him about his outfit. And what I think is so funny about this scene is that Kyoka's so serious and he's so stern, but then he has this cute little bow in his hair, which I think is really, really adorable. And I also like how Kazushi is really owning up to his family's problems and his blunders, his family's blunders and his family's mistakes from the past. He is the new head of the Tatsushi household, and as such, he's really trying to start off on a really positive foot. And I do appreciate, like, he's not being like super wrong and strong, and he's not trying to make excuses for his family. And he's just like, you know what? You know, my family really messed up, and moving forward under the guidance of the Kudo household, we're going to try to move forward and become a better, stronger unit. So I really did like that he wasn't trying to hide behind anything or have like this ego or be like super wrong and strong. So I did really like that. Thumbs up for Kazushi for being super mature about that. So His Highness Takehito makes a really ominous foreshadowing or really ominous foreboding kind of comment to Kyoka as they're all getting ready to leave his chambers. And he says, you know, I heard that you finally got engaged and things are going to be a little difficult for you guys moving forward. And as any normal person would do, they'd kind of wonder, what exactly do you mean by that? So he doesn't really say too much. We don't know if it's a premonition or what, but he just kind of gives Kyoka a heads up. But he kind of doubles back and says, but you guys will be fine. So don't you really hate when people do that? Like, they try to tell you something and it's super ominous, but then they kind of backtrack afterwards and say, you'll be fine. So he kind of sort of does that, but we believe in Kyoka and Mio because their relationship has really blossomed, and I really love the character development that I've seen from Kyoka and also from Mio, not only individually but as a unit. Because if you guys remember back into previous episodes, he was super stern, he was super strict, he didn't even want to eat the food that she made. And I kind of also understand that because remember, we're given a little insight into Kyoka and his previous engagements with different women, and he kind of sort of had this, you know, this kind of air about him, or rumors going around about him, that he's this really cold and stern person, and like women are like literally running out of the house for their lives. So I love the character development that I've seen from both of them individually and as a unit, and I'm super, super behind their relationship, and I do hope that things work out. So then we're cutting over to a scene where we see Mio and Kyoka's sister Hazuki. Now, I'm really enjoying their relationship because Hazuki is being the sister that Mio never really had, because even though, yes, Mio did have a half-sister, Kaya, she wasn't really the best to her. So I've really been enjoying their relationship. And I love how Mio is putting so much effort into not only learning how to be a proper lady, she's also putting effort into her relationship with her sister-in-law. And I think that's really, really sweet because she didn't really have that. So to see her really finding her voice and coming into her own after everything that she's been through back at the Saimori house, and you know, finally having a real sister in Hazuki, I'm really enjoying seeing that as well. So as you guys know, Hazuki has been giving Mio proper lady training, and you know, there's this party coming up and Mio really hasn't been taught a lot of those intricacies and a lot of those things that you would expect a young lady from a high-standing noble family who comes from a high-standing noble family to know. You know, we see her being treated essentially as a servant back in the old house where she was, and we realize she didn't even know, like, she probably doesn't know a lot of intricacies. She probably really wants to fit into high society, and coming from the house that she came from, even though it was a noble home or a family in high ranking, she wasn't really taught much and she was treated very poorly. So she's really trying to get this proper young lady training under her belt so that, you know, she not only becomes in her eyes suitable, more suitable for Lord Kudo, but she kind of also probably doesn't want to embarrass her soon-to-be husband, right? She's learning how to walk properly, straighten her back, straighten her posture, and we even see a scene where Hazuki is showing Mio which hand the fork and the knife go into. So again, this is all a reflection of how poorly she was being treated back in the Saimori house. And again, she was essentially being treated as a house servant or a servant in the house. And you know, even Kyoka at one point looked at Mio and he said, you know, this girl comes from a really high-standing noble family. I'm surprised that her kimono is in rags and it's very tattered, and she only had one good kimono to wear on the road. So he was even looking into certain things and piecing it together that this girl was not treated properly. And let's be realistic, Mio comes from a very abusive household. He was even digging into it, trying to figure out what happened. And I love the fact that in previous episodes, we saw him, you know, take her shopping essentially, or provide money so that Miss Yuri can go and take Mio out and shop around for her. And another part too, when we see Hazuki asking Mio, hey, you know, you can drop the miss thing, you can drop the miss thing, you can just call me sister. And then Mio kind of takes pause for a second and she's kind of like, and it's not necessarily that she's uncomfortable with Hazuki or that she doesn't like Hazuki. I think the issue here is that she immediately has a flashback to Kaya and how Kaya was. And when she thought of sister, that's exactly what came to mind for her. And we see her questioning herself about, you know, do I even understand what family is? Do I even understand what that's like? Because again, her mom died when she was incredibly young, and then the dad kind of just forgot about her when he married someone else and had Kaya. So she was really pushed to the background, and she's now wondering, do I even know what family means? So that was really sad to see. But I see that in time, Mio is going to definitely be finding more of her voice, and she's definitely going to be coming more into her own, really discovering what family means and how to be a family. And I know once she figures that out, she will absolutely love to be a real sister to Hazuki. So later on in the episode, we see an envoy who comes from the Ministry of the Imperial Household, and he makes a visit to the Anti-Grotesquerie Special Unit headquarters. The envoy comes upstairs and he introduces himself to Kyoka as Arata. Arata informs Kyoka that they are scrambling, the ministry is scrambling to try to retrieve the Grotesqueries from the gravesite because, again, it's been open and the ministry has no idea who did it. There's this funny scene where Arata and Kyoka are having a conversation and they're talking about the ministry and they're talking about the Grotesqueries, and he just makes this comment out of the blue and he says, you know, I heard about you. You don't have a very good reputation with the ladies. You're cold like a frozen tundra, something like that, he says. And what absolutely got me was when Kyoka looked at him and said, I have no need for such intel. In other words, I really don't care. And I mean, why should he? He's engaged, right? So that That moment was really funny to see. Kyoka just literally brushed that off like, I really don't care. So then we see Kyoka agree to lend aid to the ministry in any way that he can, and then Arata leaves the office. I'm getting major suspect vibes from Arata. For some reason, he just strikes me as like really quiet, really calculating, and under that calm demeanor and pleasant smile, he's probably plotting something. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm getting super suspect vibes from Arata, and I guess we'll just have to tune into future episodes to see. So then there's this scene in the forest where Kyoka and his men are in the forest and grotesqueries appear and they're fighting the grotesqueries. However, simultaneously, I believe Mio is having nightmares about the grotesqueries. I don't know if it's linked, but it seems as though possibly Mio may have some kind of spiritual power or some kind of spirit sight. I may be jumping the gun by saying that. I am of the opinion that the dreams that she's having are connected with the grotesqueries. She's been having nightmares and they've been keeping her up at night. So I'm very interested to see where that's going to go. If Mio actually does have powers, maybe she has them and they're just so like within her, so deep within her, they're so dormant, and she doesn't know until maybe she's put into a situation where she realizes that she has powers. Because I always thought to myself, how funny and how crazy and how ironic would it be that, you know, Mio was mistreated and she was downtrodden, and Kaya was elevated and uplifted because she had spirit sight and different things like that, and Mio was seen as completely and totally worthless because she didn't have any spirit sight or she didn't have any perceivable powers. So wouldn't it be crazy if we come to find out that Mio has some dormant Usuba family power that they didn't see because it just hadn't come to the surface yet, and she actually turns out to be super powerful? That would be karma. That would be karma. So lastly, the episode concludes with Mio, Hazuki, and Miss Yuri, and they're all walking on the street together, and Mio is looking incredibly pale. She's looking incredibly tired, and I'm thinking she's been having these nightmares a lot, so who would look good after that, right? She's probably not getting a lot of sleep, and she's really fighting through it. She's trying to push. She doesn't want to ruin the day, but then Miss Yuri and Hazuki are of the opinion that you're looking very tired and we should probably just call it a day and go home. So at one point, a little boy runs into her. She drops her purse and she goes to pick it up, and then she starts feeling woozy and then literally faints. And as she's fainting, before she hits the ground, someone catches her. And at the time, she thinks it's her fiance, Kyoka, but it actually turns out to be Mr. Sus. I mean, Arata. How convenient. How absolutely convenient that she's fainting and he just swoops in like the hero of the day and he catches her. I just thought that was super suspect, and I don't know. Again, I could be wrong, but I feel like Arata is very, very suspect. I think he's very suspect. I'm sorry. There's something about him that's just not sitting right with me, and I could be very wrong, but I don't know. There's something beyond the surface that we're seeing, something beyond the mask and the pleasant smile and the calm demeanor that I think is something else. There's something else going on. So in wrapping up, I just want to give my final thoughts on something else that I found very interesting in the episode. We see a part in the episode where Kyoka is talking about the Usuba family and how powerful they are and how exceptionally gifted they are when it comes to spiritual powers. And we hear him mention in the episode that the Usuba family, or people who come from the Usuba family, can read minds, they can go into your memories, and they can even invade your dreams when you're sleeping. So these people are incredibly gifted, and he's trying to figure out what's going on and what's plaguing Mio. So he's trying to figure out, okay, what's happening here? Then he notices something, and he says something that I paid particular attention to when he said the barrier that he put up around the house was not broken, and there were no signs of an external force coming into the house or any intruders breaking into the house, therefore breaking the barrier. So he says, with all that ruled out, there's only one other possibility. Now, what I'm thinking is, and again, I'm probably overthinking this, maybe you guys will let me know if you agree or disagree, but one, I think there's maybe a mole among them. Maybe there's somebody in the house who's a double agent who's been doing things to Mio, or maybe Mio herself has powers and there's some other explanation for why this is happening to her. So again, maybe because I'm really hoping that it's not Miss Yuri, because I really started to like her. She's a very, very sweet old lady, and she's someone that you would see as a mom figure, someone you'd love to have as your own mother or as your grandmother, and she's a very sweet lady. So I would hate to get to the end of this anime and find out that somebody that I liked was a backstabber. I'm probably thinking way too much into this, but let me know what you guys think, if there's a possible mole in the house, or maybe Mio is just experiencing some kind of disturbance because of her powers. Well guys, you've reached the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and leave a little love on that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear what you guys think. Join the conversation. Let's start talking about this anime. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and as usual, consider subscribing to my channel because I definitely appreciate that. So you guys, until next time, I'll see you in another video. Bye!